Hello, my name is Alvin. I'm currently on the 7th semester of final year study in International Business Management at Petra University. So, as I'm going to graduate soon, I need to know what I want to be and who I want to be in the future. Therefore, as one of the students of Professor Casey Chan in Multinational Enterprises and Government class, I was given an individual project to reflect the things that I have learned in IBM as well as my personal self to understand whether I'm ready or not to face the real working world. With that being said, let's start my presentation.
In this presentation, I will use the action learning framework to explain about my self-assessment, my career plan in the future, as well as the things that I have learned in IBM. The action learning framework is actually an equation where you combine your holistic, critical, systems, and lateral thinking to create a holistic view of yourself. This framework itself consists of 5 W and 2 H, which are what, why, who, when, where, how, and how much. So let's start with what. What will actually answer the question of what I know about myself, or in other words, who am I? This question is needed for me to aware of my own self. In answering this question, there are 3 aspects that I need to assess, which are my individual competence, team capacity, and organizational capability. There are 5 tests that I need to do to be able to assess myself from these 3 categories, which are Big 5 Personality Test, Entrepreneur GET Test, Learning Style Test, Belbin's 9 Team Roles Test, and Leadership Self-Assessment Test. Let us start with the foundation of my self-awareness, which is individual competence. From my learning style test, I got 13 for theorist and reflector, 14 for pragmatist, and 16 for activist. Since I am excelled in both activist and pragmatist, I am actually a person who is enthusiastic in taking action and welcoming new challenges as well as experience. I like to try new and experiment new ideas to solve problems, but still humble and does not like to brag myself. However, since all these 4 aspects are actually balanced, I will still hold on into relevant theories before I act as a theorist, in which I will not do something without having the grounded theory. Not only that, I will also reflect on the lessons that I have learned from trying the new things and facing new challenges as a reflector, to make sure that I will not repeat the same mistake in the future. The next test is the Entrepreneur GET test, in which I score 40 out of 54, which is above average. From this test, I can see that even though I like to try new things and facing challenges, which is supported by a high creative tendency and drive and determination, I'm a person who don't really focus on the achievement itself. Even though the results still show that my need of achievement is above the average, this test also shows that I have a high need of autonomy as well as a risk taker, which is in overall shows that I can be a good entrepreneur. Now the third test for my individual competence is regarding the personality test. In accordance to the previous 2 tests, I have a high level of extroversion and openness to experience, which explain why I am a person who likes to try new things and face challenges. These 2 will be important for me to be a good leader, since I can attract the trust of stakeholders for my experience and engage with the others. My high level of agreeableness is also important as a leader to show respect to the stakeholders. However, I need to improve my conscientiousness so that I can lead by example, as well as my emotional intelligence so that I will not be swayed by mood when I'm making decisions. After assessing my individual competence, I will then need to assess my performance or roles when I work in a group using the Belbin's 9 team rules. From this test, I have the highest score on coordinator, which shows that I am actually a person who is mature and confident when working in a group. Not only that, I also can make a good decision and delegates the work well. My next important role in the team is to contribute as an implementer, who turn ideas into practices by being a resource investigator who is enthusiastic and communicative, as well as completer finisher who searches out errors and mistakes. Since I am more as a coordinator and implementer in the team, I am not a specialist and less in team working and monitoring evaluating. Now the last dimension that I need to assess is my organizational capability, or in other words, my capability as a leader. In assessing this, I will use the Leadership Self-Assessment Test to show how good I am as a leader. From the result, we can see that the biggest 4 characteristics are leading change, motivating and inspiring, leading teams, and building relationships. These 4 characters show that I am a good key change agent in the organization. However, even though I'm good as a key change agent, I'm still not good in aligning people, negotiating, setting direction, and facilitating ethical conduct. Therefore, to further improve my capability as a leader, I need to improve my communication so that I can align people by communicating the direction well, negotiate, and communicate ethical conduct more. Now, after evaluating these 3 aspects, I need to know in what level of leadership development is I'm now and reflect on that. So for my result, I believe that I am currently on the level of competent manager. Even though my results show that I can be a good key change agent, I still need a lot of things to be learned and work on before I can really be a change agent. While assessing myself is important, I believe that I need to know the attributes of a good leader. Therefore, by analyzing the attributes of a leader using the 80-20 rules, 70-30 rules, and 60-40 rules, I am able to divide the attributes into the 4 and choose 3 out of 4, and I believe that a good leader needs to be honest, have intelligence, and also agile in doing their work. So, why I need to assess my self-awareness? It will be explained using the 5 whys. So the first why is, why do I need to know my personality? It is to know which trait is my specialization and to check how to improve and to match my learning style. Now the second why is, why do I need to know my learning style? It is to actually understand what kind of learner I am and to match my role in the team. And then why do I need to know my team roles? It is to understand how can I contribute to the team best and what leadership style will suit me. And why do I need to know my leadership style? Is to know which leadership style that I need to improve in order to know whether I will be more suitable in leading or to be led. So why do I need to know my entrepreneur skills? Is to know about my attributes in entrepreneurship and how can I improve myself to be a successful entrepreneur. So now that I better understand my strengths and weaknesses, in example my self-awareness, I can proceed to plan for my self-development phase for my career and future skills. Now for my self-development, I need to start thinking about my career plan in the future, which will be answered using who, when, and how questions. Starting with who. In the future, my plan is to be a chief finance officer or a chief marketing officer into a managing director, which means that I want to develop from a CFO or a CMO becoming a managing director of a multinational enterprise. Now, in order for me to be a managing director in the future, there are some things that I need to master. These things can be explained using the Venn diagram. So it all started with the diagram on the left, which reflects on my personal self. For me to achieve my plan, I need to have an intellectual capital, social capital, and emotional capital, which will let me to have expert power, communication power, and adaptive power. However, I need to have the stamina power to be able to pursue my future without resting and giving up, so that I can actually improve my expert, communication, and adaptive power. Now, by developing myself using these powers, I will be able to achieve skills in management, leadership, and technopreneurships, which I will integrate, implement, and innovate in my working life to be able to improve continuously. Now, to be able to achieve my dream as a managing director better, I have also reflected on the things that I have learned and not yet obtained. I already have the intelligence, personality trait, and the interest to be a managing director. However, I still need to have more knowledge, which is partly fulfilled by my study in IBM, as well as experience. By having knowledge and experience, I will be able to have skills to support myself in being a managing director. In order for me to reach my plan, I also need to know the people that are going to support me. Aside from myself as an individual, I will need the help from stakeholders, which include my friends, family, and lecturers, as well as the organization, which is the IBM, the Petra Christian University, and the company that I'm going to work at in the future. By having the support of these people, I will be able to overcome my self-development phase. Now, the next question that I need to answer regarding my future plan is when will I perform my career plan? So in the first year after I graduate from IPN, I will start working in a multinational enterprise in Indonesia, whether it is in Surabaya or in Jakarta. Now, I will also graduate as an active bachelor degree of management in Petra Christian University. 3 years after I graduate, I will take postgraduate study in United Kingdom or Australia for finance or marketing to actually deepen my knowledge and understanding regarding these two things. In the 5 years after I graduate, I will start working in a multinational enterprise in United Kingdom or Australia. It is actually the continuation after I finish the postgraduate study. In 10 years after I graduate, I will start working as a finance or marketing manager in a multinational enterprise, which will work as a stepping stone for me to be a managing director in the future. More than knowing who I want to be and when will I perform to reach it, I also need to know how will I achieve it. Therefore, to simplify on how I will achieve my future plan, I will use a simple input process output diagram to explain it. In the input, I already know who I am from the self-awareness assessment using the 5 tests. In the output, I already know who I want to be, which in here is managing director, by answering the who, when, and how. So the process will answer on how I will achieve it. Based on my plan, I will start by graduating from IBM and find experience in the field by working with a multinational enterprise. After that, I'll broaden my knowledge by going into postgraduate study in United Kingdom or Australia. Then, I will bring my knowledge and experience back into my working life, whether domestically or internationally, to start my path in becoming a managing director. To control whether I have achieved my plan or not, I will use several KPIs such as my salary and my position in certain time after I graduate. Moving on to the next part of the action learning framework, we reach the part in which we talk about where does it goes right or wrong. The things that I want to imply in this section is regarding things that I have learned from IBM and how I apply it. The first thing that I learned in IBM is working under pressure. With constant assignments and presentations that are given to us, IBMers, I'm used to work under pressure in any situation. This is also applied when I'm working in one of the company as an intern. When there are a lot of assignments and works that are given to me within limited time, I know how to handle it and finish it with an excellent results. The second thing that I learned in IBM is to be able to communicate well between members. By learning to communicate well, I'm actually able to gain trust from my colleagues and managers when I'm working. By trusting me, they are able to give me some big projects to be worked on. And last but not least, in IBM, I learned how to think holistically. As a project manager, in other words, I am able to think from many different perspectives to create a project that can solve the problems. Learning under Professor Casey Chan led me to be able to deal with my problem personally and professionally in my daily life with less effort by creating a project management in which I will make a project to know which problem that I need to solve first before I solve the next problem. All in all, my undergraduate study in IBM has brought me to have insight, motivation, new knowledge and skills, real-world application, and accountability for my future career, as well as the awareness of the need of contingency plan in every processes. Reaching this final step of the action learning framework is the question how much. Here, I will explain that how much can I improve by using the 6 thinking hats. The 6 hats will cover the 6 things that I need to improve, which are my stamina power, which talks about my emotion, my communicative power, which talks about the ability to communicate, the benefits, my expert power, which talks about how can I gather the facts, my adaptive power, which talks about how can I adapt and innovate, my response power, which talks about how I deal with problems, and my execution power, which talks about the process and cover the other powers. With that being said, I have covered all parts of my action learning framework, which will lead me to have a holistic thinking regarding myself.
To conclude my presentation, I've explained regarding myself through an in-depth analysis of my self-awareness, the things that I've learned in IBM, as well as what I'm going to be and who I want to be in the future through my career plan and how I'm going to achieve it. Therefore, after all assessing all of these things together, I believe that the important things for me to bring in the future is to actually think holistically regarding every problem that I will face. In regards to that, I would like to give my gratitude to Professor Casey Chan, who taught me for the last 3 years. Now, to end this presentation, I'd like to give a quote from Jack Ma who says that if you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest value. I'm Alvin. Thank you for watching.